Well, good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Friday, July 24th, 2026. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures are currently trading above fair value. Certainly nowhere near enough to erase yesterday's losses, but we'll have to see. Of course, the first thing I'll be looking for is a close above Thursday's high. That would be the first sign something new is happening. Now, commodities are mixed. We've got crude oil trading lower. Looks like the market makers want to keep the Brent crude down below $100. It was getting up over 100, and then we've got U.S. crude down over 90. And I don't think that's going to last very long. I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of months if those prices double. Here we are looking at gold and silver trading higher in the pre-market on Friday morning. Now, CNR is out with earnings this morning, and what I heard was very impressive, whether it's a buy the rumor, sell the news type situation or not, or if it'll cause new money to come in and continue to buy this stock and move it higher. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, yesterday, the biggest thing I was watching was will support hold for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ came down towards the 687.50 level, got 30 cents away from it before it started to reverse. So that is still an active area of support. And remember, we entered this trading range back at the start of May. So we've been in nearly 3 months now. We ran up to the 750 level, came back down to the 687.50 level, and then made a series of lower highs. So we're coming into this little corner here and looking to see if we can break out of the wedge that's forming, or if we start to break down below support. If we start breaking down below support and clear it, then the next two targets to the downside start to open up down to 625. Of course, the world is still talking about data centers. In the world of AI, I think the memory chip stocks, some of the hardware vendors are long-term investments. I don't think any of the AI companies themselves are long-term investments. I think they're very overvalued, and the market will shake out at some point. And I believe China is going to be very competitive in this market. And so I wouldn't look at AI opportunities as long-term investments. They are the play of the day right now in 2026. But a couple of years from now, I don't think people will still be thinking about them. Now, Trump says people are begging to live near data centers. Well, I hope they're begging to live beside them in Palm Beach as well. But I don't know anybody who wants to live near a data center. And then we've got this headline, you can't fight it. You've got to go with it. And he's telling people to just give up protesting data centers and let the companies do what they want to do. That's an interesting strategy. Now, Intel is up in the pre-market this morning. That's one of the reasons the futures are trading higher. It's not up enough now to give us a new daily buy signal. It's still holding $100 though. And so we'll be watching that $100 level once again. Looking at what worked yesterday, well, in our world, it was the Canadian energy sector up over 2% on the day, while the Magnificent Seven ETF dropped out of the sky with new sell signals for Amazon and Microsoft. We already knew Tesla was going to gap lower in the pre-market yesterday morning, and look at that, it closed near the low of the day. What didn't work yesterday in our world of ETFs that we follow on the weekend, we had one new signal yesterday, and that was a new sell signal for the American banking sector. It is now back on a sell signal as of Thursday's close. Now, on Friday mornings, I like to print off some weekly charts just to see if there's any major weekly moves, and this week there are none. We've got the VIX still trading in the channel, and it's down slightly on the week. It's trading lower in the pre-market this morning. Crude oil, of course, we've been watching all week, and it's moved up over 12%. So let me rephrase what I just said. Yeah, there's been one major move in the market, and that is in the energy sector. But when we talking about the major index ETFs that we follow every day, there are none. So here we are looking at crude oil up over 12.5%, U.S. energy stocks up just under 3%, Canadian energy stocks up over 6%. Inside week for the semiconductors, they are up on the week, but it's an inside week, still looking for a close above the previous week's high. Then looking at gold is up slightly on the week. Gold stocks are up slightly on the week. and they're up enough to give us daily buy signals, but certainly not expecting a weekly change in trend this week. And it would be nice if we could hold last week's low, which we are doing so far. That could be the start of something for the gold sector. Looking at Canadian financials, they're down 2.64%. And of course, we were looking to see if this ETF could hit 100, and it did not do that. So now it's starting to pull back. As of Thursday's close, Thursday's close was below last week's low. We'll have to see if that holds going into the weekend. Then looking at U.S. Financial stocks, they're down just over 0.75%. Looking at the S&P 500, we're down into the channel, so not expecting a change in trend this week. The Nasdaq's holding up a little better. Inside week for the Nasdaq so far. 2 weeks in a row, we've been down at the lower channel line, but no change in trend. There is the Russell 2000 down 0.2%, trading back in the channel, not expecting a trend change there. And the Canadian market still holding up better than the U.S. market at the moment, down a little over 0.75%, still above the upper channel line. Taking a broader look at the Canadian market, the Vanguard Canada ETF down just 0.21%, so no major move there. Now, bonds continue to move lower. Bond yields continue to move higher. That could break the stock market at some point. It certainly isn't doing that on Friday morning. Bitcoin up less than 1% on the week, so no major change there. U.S. dollar index still on a buy signal, still trading above 100. Euro still on a sell signal, no change there. Remember, the U.S. dollar is being held up with higher crude oil prices. That means countries have to provide more U.S. dollars than they normally would to buy crude oil, and that's holding the U.S. dollar up at the moment against the other major currencies, including the Canadian dollar. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. It looks like it's quite nice outside today. Looks like we're also going to have some buying at the open on Friday morning. I certainly don't expect it to undo Thursday's damage. And then, of course, we'll be watching the support level on the NASDAQ to see if and when that breaks. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. If you're a member, you'll hear me next on Sunday. If you're not a member, we can meet back here on Monday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.